Hello, and thank you for tuning into this episode of Moore's October Rants. Today, we're diving into a topic that's probably crossed all our minds at some point. Can love overcome anything? So this idea hit me while I was watching an episode of Family Guy. You know the one where Brian, the dog, falls in love with a woman from India? It all starts when he calls a tech support hotline, and after chatting with her, he decides to fly all the way to India to meet her. Now, to cut to the chase, she ends up breaking things off because Brian has no understanding of Indian culture. She tells him he doesn't really know her world, and that's where things fall apart. Earlier in the episode, Stewie, the baby of course, says that the relationship won't work because she's all the way in India, and the distance is too much. Brian comes back at him with, "People in love can overcome anything." And that's the line that got me thinking, can love really overcome anything? Because, let's be real, at the end of the episode she dumps Brian, not because of the distance, but because he's totally clueless about her culture. It makes me wonder if that saying, love can overcome anything, actually holds up in real life. People love to throw that phrase around, but then you see relationships fall apart all the time, even between people who claim to love each other deeply. So, is love really strong enough to bridge gaps like cultural differences or even miles of distance? Now, obviously, I know Family Guy is just a cartoon, but the situation sparked something in my brain because when she told Brian that he didn't understand her culture, he offered to learn. But that wasn't enough for her. And it made me wonder, is love enough if one person isn't familiar with the other's culture? Or is that where love hits a wall? I guess it all boils down to the couple involved and how much they're willing to push through together. Every relationship has different limits and boundaries, right? But here's the big question. How far can love stretch before it breaks? Because, as much as we'd like to believe in the fairy tale, the reality is that love doesn't always conquer all. You see people fall out of love, couples who were once madly in love getting divorced. So, maybe love isn't this unstoppable force we've been led to believe it is. Maybe it has a natural course, and when it's done, it's done. Personally, I like to think I love differently. I'm the type of person who would love someone whether they're in South America or all the way in Australia. I'll go the distance. Literally. I had a girlfriend from Brazil once, and when I was watching that Family Guy episode, I couldn't help but think, what if I flew all the way to Brazil, only for her to tell me I don't understand her culture or language or way of life? What if that's the reason we don't work out? That's a risk you take when you love someone wholeheartedly. You take the gamble, knowing that it might not go the way you hope. In the end, life's all about risk, and love is no different. Anyway, that's all for today's rant. Thanks for listening, and as always, I'm Moore's October, signing off. Have a great one, and goodbye.